Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me, box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and become one of our friends on Facebook. Facebook.com/Radio Detectives. Before we get started, I do want to let you know the program is brought to you by the financial support of our listeners. And in particular, I want to thank Sharon so much for her support. She actually went ahead and mailed in a donation to our P.O. Box. The address is there at our main donations page, support.greatdetectives.net, where you can also send a donation by PayPal, and you can support the show on a monthly basis at patreon.greatdetectives.net. Well, this week's program is something different, and I don't mean so in the good way, and I'm not referring to plot quality, but how this week's episode does not have the opening or closing bits, and the ending is clipped off a bit, though you will get the general idea of the plot. So apologies in advance. Sorry we don't have all the audio for this one, but here from August the 4th of 1950 is The Parrot's Bed.
Well, here we are, mister. The Pirates Cove. Only bar in San Pedro catering to the seafaring trade we ain't tried yet.
You're sure of that, huh?
Mister, I've been driving this hack in this burg since the self-starter. Sure, I'm sure.
All right, wait for me. I'll only be a minute.
Gladly. This kind of working for a living I like.
You just insulted this lady who happens to be my guest.
Hey, Bucket, put a hand on this, will you?
Well, what's yours, mate?
Little information, Bucket. I was looking for a guy named Lash Louderback. He's a friend of mine, about 6'6". He's built like a battle wagon. He takes his whiskey by the
Lash Louderback. What do you use?
Yeah. Why, what's wrong with him?
He ain't got any manners, landlubber. He swings before he so much as talks. Oh!
You see, buddy, Lash Louderback tore this joint apart less than 2 hours ago. It took 5 of us to get him out of here, so when you catch up to him, tell him to come on back. Tell him the drinks are on the house. Like this.
You got that message straight, sweetheart?
Sure he is, Casey. He looks like a bright boy with a good memory. Right, buddy?
Right, Bucket. I've got a great memory. It was high time for me to get together with my client. A woman I'd never met named Daphne McGregor, who'd hired me by long-distance call to L.A. 5 hours earlier to find a giant economy-sized, devil-may-care, hard-drinking sailor. One Lash Louderback, who for some reason had to be aboard a ship she was sailing on at 4 in the a.m. When I announced myself at the hotel desk at the San Pedro Biltmore, and after a check call was told to go to room 113, the old roue-type night clerk who pointed the way arched one eyebrow until it nudged his toupee back. I saw why when I was at the door of 113.
Come right in, Marlowe.
Daphne McGregor was long, fluffy black hair, gently framing a face that was the color and texture of melted caramels. Glinting sea-green eyes and full lips that were tinged supple coral red. They turned up at the corners and something a little more than a provocative smile.
Come back into the patio, Marlowe. We're just feeding your captain.
Just feeding the...
Chick-a-lack, lassie. Chick-a-lack. Starving the poor captain. Starving in the dam.
Hey, is that the captain?
Yes, but if he doesn't keep quiet, he's going to be the ex-captain, stuffed inside.
See what you mean.
Here, you parasite, eat.
You saw him, lassie. Get up.
Oh, he gets worse every day.
Easy.
Well, Marlowe, I see by that bruise on your cheek that you found Lash all right.
No, Miss McGregor. I only found some unhappy people who Lash had found earlier.
You mean you don't know where he is? Marlowe, it's late. We've only got 3 hours left.
Yeah,
You saw him, lassie. You saw him.
Shut up, you. Come in on the other room, Marlowe. Thank you, dear.
Frank, like the real reason you offered me $500 to tear this boozer away from his bottle?
Yes, there's no boozer. He has explained.
Not according to the gentleman at the Pirates Cove. Anyhow, your reason, Miss McGregor?
Definitely. My reason, Marlowe, is very simple. Black pearl.
Missing necklace worth thousands, maybe, huh?
No, a missing bed worth millions.
You mean on the half shell? The real thing?
Real and rare. What do you think, Marlowe? Johnny Walker's sister?
Yeah, it's fine. Can I help you?
Certainly.
Okay. Oh, thanks.
Now, Marlowe, listen hard. There isn't time to go over this twice. Happy days.
You too.
Marlowe, my father was the best navigator in the Pacific. He was drowned last year in the storm at sea. He left me two things, the captain there and a map to a fortune, a bed of black pearls located on Parrot Island. My father named the pearl find the Parrot's bed. That's part A.
Part B is Lash Louderback.
Louderbeck and Teddy Peterson. Lash, the man you've got to find, is a crackerjack American sailor who lost his first mate's papers to jumping ship and boy.
And Peterson also a wild man from?
No, anything but. Peterson, Marlowe, is half the size and weight of Lash, but twice as smart. He has a bad leg, walks with cane. I met them shortly after the war in Honolulu. They had $30,000. I had the map, and teamed up. Came back here, bought all the divers' gear, and arranged for passage on the island later.
Ship that leaves tonight, huh?
It'll be 6 months, Marlowe, at least, before I can find another scow. If we miss this, I don't want to wait.
Yeah, but tell me, if Lash can't be found, why don't you and Peterson sail without him?
Good question. But the answer isn't that. Rufus Emblem, a British-born Malayan-raised louse who's right here in San Pedro now and who knows all about my plans. And because of Emblem, we tried twice to buy the map and 3 times to steal it. I hid it in the lining of Lash's coat. A fact which Lash does not know.
And Peterson does?
Yes. I sent word an hour ago via a bellhop in writing, of course, to Ted's rooming house. It's 118 North 3rd Street. By the way, no phone.
118 North 3rd, huh? Lash stays there with him?
No. We figured it would be harder on Rupert Sembleton if he lived in different places and he had to guess who had the map. Lash is at the YMCA, but don't waste your time. We haven't seen him since he checked in. Now, Marlowe, you know it all.
Yeah, all except where I might find Lash. That brawl at the Pirates Cove doesn't seem to tie into Rupert Sembleton.
No, but Rupert or one of his little dagger men was no doubt following Lash. It's our only chance. You can find Sembleton at his importer's office. It's a hole in the wall near the dock. 21 Harbor Road. 500, I promise.
Thanks.
There'll be another 500 if you bring Lash back before 4 a.m. Anything else?
One item, Daphne. Is there a chance that either Ted Peterson or Lash could cross you up for the map?
No, fine. I can get to the island itself without the map. Sooner or later, I'll find him. So you see, they'd have to kill me as well as you.
$1 million in black pearl. Well, I'm on my way. Goodbye, Daphne. I'll do my best.
Oh, Marlowe.
Huh?
Marlowe, one last point. Parrot Island isn't really the name of the island.
No.
Just in case you were thinking of black pearls and Marlowe.
Yes. Bye-bye, Daphne. "21 Harbor Drive belonged near the docks, all right. But Shanghai, not San Pedro. It was a small, dimly lit, twisted frame building, weather-warped, dirty, and sandwiched tight by a couple of flanking stone factories like a meek 120-pound commuter caught in between 2 fat ladies in the rush hour. And the man who answered my knock and admitted that he was Rufus Emblem in a pleasant voice was maybe 50. Looked like an underfed toad.
Can I be of some assistance, sir?
Yeah, I hope so. My name is Marlowe, Mr. Sembleton. I'm an investigator for the San Pedro Port Authority.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we're looking for a sailor in trouble named Lash Louderback. Do you know him?
Why, yes, I do.
No?
Haven't seen him for months, though. Not since Honolulu, I believe. Now, Mr. Marlowe, if you'll excuse me, sir, I'm quite busy. A load of invoices, you know. But if you'll call tomorrow, I'll be only too glad to go into this further. Good night, sir.
Emblem had invoices to attend to, like I had to spend the night mounting butterflies. I knew that as well as I knew that the take he had done had been at somebody behind me. So when I turned and started away from the place, I slipped my right hand around the .38 in my pocket and thought of Daphne McGregor's remark about Brother Rupert's little dagger man. But just then it came. A knife a foot long. It splintered into the wooden porch behind me. Before I could get back to my feet, the small, shadowy figure with raised arm I glimpsed behind a step-down Hudson was across the street and into an alley. And when I was there and after him, I found only moonlight and the empty, cracked pavement and a long, long line of loading ramps. I knew I was losing. But it wasn't until I turned back toward the man with the invoices that I knew just how badly. Number 21 Harbor Road was lights out and one parked Hudson missing. Obviously, Mr. Rufus Emblem hadn't wanted to be followed. Well, Ted Peterson's rooming house on North 3rd Street was my only chance of picking up a lead on Lash Louderback.
Oh, now, Mr. Riley, here's the filthy money you were so afraid you'd never see. All of it, $11.28 due and coming. Look, Mr. Riley, $5 in interest.
Abbey players in San Pedro?
Oh, that surprises you, does it? Well, Mr. Liquor Merchant, it shouldn't. 8 officers licked me only keep a rooming house. But he's a gentleman of means this day, and hello.
Hello.
I just practiced enough of it. I guess the screen doors is only good for keeping the flies out.
Or in. Mr. Flickett, I'd like to see Ted Peterson.
Peterson, is it?
Yeah.
Do you have a message? Like that bellhop? Something
I'd like to see Mr. Peterson.
Oh, very well now. I'll call him. Mr. Peterson! Mr. Peterson!
The great PA system.
Coming up, sir. Now, more talk about... Oh, sorry. Know your company.
He doesn't. I'm here to see you, Ted. My name is Marlowe. I'm a private detective working for Daphne, and, thanks, Mr. Flickett. He's here now.
Yes, of course he is. There's no need for me any longer now, is there? Good night, gentlemen. Good night.
Now, look, Ted, in a tight bundle, it's this. Lash is still missing, was last seen at a joint called the Pirates Cove where he was in a brawl. You, of course, know he has a map on him.
Yeah.
Now, have you run into him at all in the last 2 hours?
No, Marl. I've been right here.
Oh?
But you know, this isn't the first time old Lash has gone out and got
Yeah, but this time it may be different. Rufus Emblem is on Louderback's trail, I'm sure.
Emblem? That does make it different.
Peterson, I think you better get over to the San Pedro Biltmore and stay next to Daphne, huh?
Oh, but why? We got to find Lash.
And keep everybody alive doing it. Semblin already has his knife throwers out. If he finds Lash and gets the map, he'll start eliminating everybody. Oh, tell me, is there anything, no matter what, anything that Lash usually does at the tail end of a bender?
Well, yeah, Marlowe. Yeah, there is.
What?
And it never fails. Once Lash is through drinking and fighting, he goes for the deck of anything that's surrounded by water, stretches out on his back, looks at the stars, and sings until he either sobers up or falls asleep.
That might do it, Ted. I'm going to head back to the Pirates Cove and work toward the water from there. You go to Daphne in a hurry,
Yeah,
huh?
all right, Marlowe, but I still think we're going to be okay. Lash has done this sort of thing 1,000 times.
Yeah, well, let's hope this makes it 1,001. I'll be in touch, Ted. Wasn't much to go on, but as I walked from the rooming house to my car, I tried to tell myself that Lash's kind, like the cows, always come home. There was no reason for me to worry. But in the next second, I changed my mind.
No!
It was Peterson back at the house. When I got there, he was hugging the floor and trembling like he had every right to, but he hadn't been scratched. The shaky finger he pointed behind him and in a line with the open screen door said someone else had been and then some. H. Oxwell Flickett was crumpled in a corner, dead. A long, mean knife deep in his back.
Marlowe, there was one at Semblin's then, I'm sure. And he was after me. Marlowe, what can we do?
Well, not much more than we were going to. Only first, Ted, you call the police, give them my name, and say I'll explain later. And get to Daphne fast.
Well, you look for Lash.
Yeah, Lash. A guy someplace under a wide and starry sky. Should be a cinch. Ted Peterson was still staring at the knife between the landlord's shoulders as I went down the stairs and out on the clammy waterfront street again. It was 2 o'clock. That left me with less than a couple of hours to find Lash Louderback, the giant from Borneo, who was full to his ears with rum and probably flat on his back, singing to the stars somewhere in the jackstraw jumble of greasy pilings, tottering tacked-together buildings and bobbing masts that were San Pedro Harbor. I decided to push my luck and head for the Pirates Cove Bar again, since that remained as his last known contact with civilization. I parked on a side street away from the place and walked to the corner. Bucket, the owner, was just closing up. I watched as the last of his steamy clientele staggered off down the street, and then, while he fought with the stubborn lock on the door, I moved up behind him.
Some of these days...
Hey, Bucket.
The joint's closed. Don't you jerks ever get tired? Shove off. Go on. Beat it.
Keep your shirt on. We've got a conversation to finish. I'm still looking for Lash Louderback.
Oh, sure. Now I remember. You was in earlier, wasn't you, Bo?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Me and my memories.
I guess you didn't learn much.
I learned just this much. This time, let's have a straight pitch. Stand up, Heavy. Stand up and listen to what I want out of you. It's very simple. I'll make it hard on us. How drunk was Lash when you finally got him out the door? Come on, talk it up.
Well, that guy don't get drunk. He just gets thick-skulled.
Yeah?
But he put away enough to stagger an elephant.
You watched him when he left. Where was he headed?
Down the street.
That way? What's of interest down there?
Nothing. A few empty warehouses, a beat-up Salvage Yard, and a backwash. That's all.
Thanks. Now, wasn't that easy? The street narrowed to a dark, silent alley that tunneled for 4 blocks between hulking warehouses. Finally opened on a sagging, rusty graveyard for old ships and ended abruptly at the brink of a stagnant backwash marked dead end. So I stopped and turned around, and that's when my headlights picked up a woman. She'd been leaning against the piling at the water's edge. She looked into my headlights for a minute, then flipped the cigarette away and sauntered toward the car.
This ain't private property, honey. I got a right to be here.
Who says different?
You cops. Always. Every time.
Oh, wait a minute, sister. I'm no cop.
Uh-huh. So I'm taking the night off anyway.
You picked a swell spot for us. Been here long?
Why? Maybe I like all these old dead folks. Maybe I get a friendly feeling from them.
Yeah, could be. Also, maybe you saw an oversized sailor with a full head of steam boil out this way, huh?
No, afraid not, honey.
Well, did you hear him then? If his singing voice compares with the rest of them, you couldn't have missed. Look, baby, it's worth $10.
Keep it. I heard somebody singing. I'm out there on the hulk someplace. Hooped me. Gave me the blues. I was glad when it stopped.
How long ago was it?
Oh, quite a while. Sure to be gone by now. How about a lift after the light?
No, I'm sorry, but I'm going out and have a look for the sailor. Thanks for the information.
Okay, so I'll walk. Ain't the first time.
I got a flashlight from my glove compartment and started out over the massive rotten but still floating hulk. Finally, I found a catwalk of greasy planks that wormed its way through the deserted jumble of twisted steel, apparently to the farthest point, which was where I wanted to go. I was halfway out when I got an uncomfortable hunch that I was being watched. I stopped and listened. There was no sound except the slow grinding of metal as the black water below surged softly. So I went on. The last ship was a squat, ugly barge. Beyond it was the open harbor. I played my light over the deck through a hatch and saw that the cover had made new scratches in the rust. I got it open and stabbed my light down inside. 8 feet below, at the foot of an iron ladder, was the body of a big man, face down. On the back of his coat, dead center, was a large red stain where a knife had been. I had 1 foot on the ladder when that hunch came again. This time, with plenty to back it up. I shot my light along the catwalk and for an instant caught a glistening yellow face. It was Rufus Emblem. He ducked and ran. His head start got him almost ashore, but after barking both shins and turning an ankle, I got close enough to grab him by the shoulder and spin him around.
Hey, get back. We'll kill you.
Not tonight, Slimy. You've done all you're going to do. Yeah.
You're breaking it.
Good. I thought knives were your specialty. You're a regular little arsehole. Come on, drop it. Drop it.
Yeah. Now, let me go. Please. What's through?
You don't know how true you are. Won't exactly get questions answered, Semblin, but it'll save a lot of time in the long run. Believe me. tied Tremblin's wrist to a 1.5 tons of rusty anchor chain with a long piece of wire, which I figured would hold him just in case he woke up before I got back. After that, I found an outside phone near the Salvage Yard office shack and called my client and Ted Peterson. They made it to where I was waiting in less than 10 minutes. I brought him up to date, then with Daphne behind me and Peterson doing his best to bring up the rear with his cane, slipping on the greasy plank. I led them on out along the catwalk toward the barge at the end. I hadn't told them yet that I'd found Lash dead. But I didn't need to. Daphne sensed what was coming.
You're good, Marlowe. Even better than I expected. How'd you ever find this place?
Brakes, Daphne.
It's exactly the kind of place Lash would have ended up in. He was really a derelict, too. Like all these little saltwater towns. He is dead, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's dead. Nice the way it looks.
I'm going to miss him. He had the kind of rowdy power it takes to keep a native diving crew in line.
Yeah?
I'll find somebody else. Ted, I'm worried about it. It'll be tough on him. Coming, Ted.
I'm okay. I'll make it. We still go on.
Yeah, this is it, Daphne, the barge.
Where is he, Marlowe? That hat is open.
Yeah, I opened it.
Then that's where Lash is, down inside?
That's right. Whoever put the knife in him. Hey, Daphne, wait a minute.
The map, Marlowe. I've got to get the map.
Marlowe, why's she going down there? Where's Lash? Where is he? What's happened to him?
He's dead.
Lash?
Somebody stabbed him.
Dead? Who did it? Semblin?
I don't know. Well, there's a good chance, except that a couple of things don't figure that way.
Must have been Semblin, the lizard. I'll kill him for this, Marlowe. What things don't figure this? Lash was stabbed, you said, just like Flickett.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that. Also about the fact that Semblin followed me out here and ran when I spotted him. That's out of character for a guy who...
What is it, Marlowe?
See over there where my light is? That puddle of oil, you see it? Footprints. Somebody made these who was out here earlier tonight. Semblin didn't get this far, and they're too small to be lashes,
And something else, Marlowe?
Yeah, beside each one
Never
is
mind,
little...
I'll finish it for you. A little round mark made by a cane. This cane. Don't you try for your gun, Marlowe.
Okay, Peterson. But you must have had a good reason. Lash was your best friend.
Friend? Yeah, the one thing I always needed, Marlowe, strength. Strength. Enough to take anything he saw, from a beautiful woman to a fortune in black pearls. I wanted to kill him. And tonight I got the perfect chance. The giant was drunk. Followed him out here from that bar. It was easy. Would have stayed easy if Daphne hadn't decided to hide the map on him.
Yeah, the way it worked out, you killed him before you knew he had the map on him.
Yeah, and then I couldn't risk coming out here alone a second time. Only chance was to steer you toward his body. But I didn't want you to find too much, Marlowe. I didn't want you to get too nosy.
Too nosy like your landlord, Flickett, maybe?
Exactly. He knew I lied to you about being home all night. Wanted to find out why, so I had to kill him as well. And that makes you next, Marlowe.
What about Daphne? She's heard every word of this, you know, and you got your back to her, Peterson.
I can depend on Daphne, Marlowe. I love her. Now, with Lash out of the way, she'll love me. And anyway, we're going to be together a long time because she wants those pearls more than anything else in the world.
That's what you think, you idiot.
Baby, if you got a gun, for Pete's sake, use it.
I don't have a gun, Marlowe.
Daphne, that map, did you find it?
Sure, I found it. I have it right here.
Fine. Now, you go on ashore, darling. You wait for me there.
I wouldn't cross the street with you now.
Well, what do you mean? Don't you move, Marlowe.
I mean, you're a killer, Ted, and I'd rather those pearls stay on the bottom of the ocean until you get your hands on them now. Put on your gun, Ted.
Now, look, Daphne, don't be a fool. It's ours now, all of it, darling.
It's nobody's. It's not worth it, Ted. I'm burning this map right now.
Burning it, Daphne, listen.
Here it goes. Look, sucker. A fortune
No,
of flames.
no, stop it. Put it
No,
out.
Marlowe, quick, you got
No,
to...
put it out.
I'm sorry, baby, but thanks. An awful lot.
Okay, now. Honest. Maybe it's even better this way. Just the little fire I started is all out now.
I'm afraid it is.
Yeah. Not enough left to bother with. And both my partners are gone, too. Well, that's that. It's better I found out all this here tonight instead of someplace off the Malay coast. I'd like to be alone for a while now. You mind?
I watched her walk away and thought about what she just said. And I took a long last look at the forlorn little pile of ashes left on the rusty deck. Important ashes that had saved my life. Then I looked closer and saw exactly what I expected. Daphne McGregor was walking fast when I caught up with her. I took her arm and turned her around.
Hello, Mr. Marlowe.
Where's that map?
Well, out on the barge. Burned your Christmas.
What you burned out there was a couple of paper napkins in your purse.
I said you were good, mister. You really are.
Sure. You'd rather burn both feet off than lose that map, wouldn't you?
Naturally. By the way, Marlowe, what are you doing for the next year or so? Like to spend them at a gorgeous spot off the Marlowe coast?
Hey, take it easy, Tondoleo.
I mean, Phil, if you ever gazed into a whole handful of black pearls as big as golf balls, it'd take your breath away. And they're priceless.
Would you also make Tiffin for me?
No, I think I would.
But there is one thing, Daphne. Some of my best friends are oysters. Good night, baby. A beautiful green-eyed girl on a tropical island, surrounded by a bed of black pearls. Something to think about. Well, when 4 o'clock came and Daphne's ship sailed out of the harbor with her and a map and a parrot all safely aboard, Marlowe, the jerk, was standing on the pier waving goodbye. Waving goodbye to...
This is Andrea J. Graham, author of the Web Surfer series. Oh, and a Madam's Wife. You're listening to The Great Detectives of Old Time Radio.
Welcome back. Well, we've come across recordings like this in a number of programs. Right off the top of my head, Jeff Regan, Johnny Dollar, and this program stand out. And it does always bring home to me how important the music and the bumpers are just to establishing that sense of atmosphere. And I definitely missed that in this episode. I did like the twist at the end where it did turn out that she kept the map to the Black Pearls. And that struck me as something very much like what Raymond Chandler himself might have done. All right, well, on to listener comments and feedback, and we start off with this letter from Sharon, who, and this is an actual letter on paper, one of the advantages of getting these donations by mail. Anyway, she writes, "Thank you for the many years of podcasting excellence. I started listening to old time radio in the mid-'70s when my dad introduced us to I Love a Mystery, and I've been a fan ever since. Now my teenage daughter enjoys the old time radio world as well. Box 13, Sam Spade, Philip Marlowe, and Nero Wolfe. We enjoyed new programs like The Lineup, Let George Do It, Rogues Gallery that I'd not heard of before. Thanks for your efforts to keep old-time radio on the airwaves." Well, thanks so much. I appreciate your kind note, Sharon, and thanks so much for your support. It is great to hear about old-time radio being passed on to the next generation of listeners. Always encouraging to hear that. And I also did receive a question from Kevin, who asked, any chance for Richard Diamond in the near future? Well, every chance we'll be getting to Richard Diamond, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, as they say. We've got about 4 or 5 months of Philip Marlowe left, and then we will have a mystery special, and we'll bring you Defense Attorney, and then we will be going into Philip Marlowe, into Richard Diamond, should be about 6 months. So those who've been asking for that series, hoping for that series, and I think it's probably the most requested one we've had throughout our show's history. Though in recent years, I've gotten less requests for it and more for Rocky Jordan, which we'll, of course, get to in due time. But be aware, it is definitely coming in just a few months. All right, well, that will do it for today. Join us back here tomorrow for Nick Carter. And next Tuesday, Basil Rathbone returns, starring in Tales of Fatima. And then join us back here again next Wednesday for another episode of The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. In the meantime, send your comments to box13 at greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and become one of our friends on Facebook. Facebook.com/Radio Detectives. From